Hello everyone, I am Seema Mishra. I am a faculty at Department of Biochemistry, School of Life Sciences, University of Hyderabad, India. I would like to present my research work on T-cell epitope-based subunit vaccine against SARS-CoV-2 infection. I am here with saying it as my and not as me because this work was done entirely by me during my lockdown and when my students did not have access to my laboratory. Noticeable epitope vaccine getting done because urgent attention is required to tackle SARS-CoV-2, which has created a pandemic in recent times. These peptide-based subunit vaccines are considered safer because they do not contain live components and do not harbor the risk of mRNA or inactivated viral vaccines in elderly populations, which are prime targets of SARS-CoV-2 infection. mRNA also poses a risk of getting integrated into the genome, thereby resulting in side effects. So, peptide-based subunit vaccines have lower risk of side effects and considered safer. To reiterate it again. And in our way to design T-cell epitope-based vaccines, when we use experimental techniques, it takes about 15 years and $800 million and more to design and develop such a vaccine. However, powerful immunoinformatics tools in computers have made it plausible to develop such vaccine candidates in as little time and little cost as possible. This is the WHO draft landscape of COVID 19 vaccines, where the number of vaccines in clinical development is 16. Out of 60 vaccines, 18 protein subunit vaccines are in the clinical phase. Now, most of these subunit vaccines are based on spike protein of the coronavirus, like spike protein adjuvant, spike protein plus CpG, RBD domain of spike protein plus adjuvant, baculovirus production expressed in SF9 cell recombinant vaccine, and so on. However, the usage of spike protein is not without its disadvantages because there has been emergence of new UK variant P.1.1.7, where about 8 S gene mutations have been found in over 1400 SARS-CoV-2 genome sequences from UK. Therefore, even if we use spike proteins as a protein subunit vaccine, we cannot be sure that there will be no mutation and that the immune response will be effective. Therefore, we need newer targets from SARS-CoV-2 protein, which has been done in this work, which I am going to show you. So, utilizing higher HLA1 and HLA2 binding capacity, proteasomal cleavage, and tap transporter binding efficiency, which all come during the antigen processing and presentation pathway of T cell epitope. A predicted candidate epitope set has been enlisted, spread over the SARS-CoV-2 protein. A high level of promiscuity means it can bind to multiple MHC alleles, and immunogenicity means an average level of immunogenicity, not high, not low, where other criteria being applied. And clustering of the cytotoxic T lymphocyte, CTL, and helper T lymphocyte, HTL epitope provided a further narrowed down set. Now, SARS-CoV-2 genome is 2 base pairs in length, and the reference sequence harbors multiple structural, non-structural, and accessory proteins essential or playing a role at various stages of the viral life cycle. This SARS-CoV-2 genome is 80.3% identical to SARS-CoV genome using NCBI blast and tool. This figure shows the location of proteins in the SARS-CoV-2 protein. We see that ORF1ab protein encompasses more space inside the SARS-CoV-2 genome, followed by S protein, then ORF3a, then envelope protein, then M protein, and so on. We have used all of these 10 SARS-CoV-2 proteins for our work, except ORF7b, which was identified later in a paper. This is the flowchart of our work. Whole SARS-CoV-2 proteome and protein sequences retrieved from the rest genome were utilized to identify promiscuous immunogenic CTL epitopes as well as promiscuous immunogenic HTL epitopes. These epitopes were then combined together in order to produce consensus clustered epitope for a sequence that can harbor both CTL and HTL epitope with no human cross-reactivity, resulting in no cytokine storm and no immunopathogenesis. This list of ranked epitope films then be further tested using in vitro MHC peptide bonding and ELISpot assays as future work. These are the databases and software used. The genome sequence of novel coronavirus was the RefSeq sequence retrieved from GenBank. For CTL epitope prediction tool, NetCTL, PAN, and Pickpocket were used, which are well-validated CTL epitope prediction tool. In order to find out a consensus list of epitopes common to both these prediction tools. NetCTL PAN tells about combined scoring from all three different methods representing antigen processing and presentation steps. That is TAP transporter binding, proteasomal cleavage, HLA1 binding. And epitopes from pickpocket algorithm were sorted by affinity, which is IC50 values in nanomolar in terms of this. HTL epitope prediction tool was also NetMHC2 PAN, which is a well-validated tool. While CTL epitope prediction tool used 12 HLA2 supertype, HTL epitope prediction tools harbored 7 HLA DRP1 supertypes. Immunogenicity predictions were done further using IETB immunogenicity tool for CTL epitope and IETB CD4 IP score and IT cell tools for immunogenic HTL epitope. Further clustering was done using IETB epitope cluster analysis tool. Cross-reactivity analyses were performed against human proteome database from UniProt database with the recent release. Using multiple peptide match tool of protein information resource. Multiple sequence alignments were done using muscle algorithm. Now, from these analyses, 9621 CTL epitopes were generated, out of which topmost promiscuous high-binding CTL epitopes were 122 in number. Among the HTL epitopes, there were 95 HTL epitopes in number. These two were combined together in order to form cluster epitopes, which were 244 clusters, along with 66 singleton epitopes with no human cross-reactivity. All of these epitopes were then enlisted in further research paper, which is published in Royal Society Open Science, and you can find out those epitope sequences as well as peptide start and end sequences in this paper. Insights gained were that the highest number of common top-ranking epitopes is seen in the case of non-structural protein 7 of ORF1AB, followed by ORF10, ORF8, and so on. Among structural proteins, envelope protein provided the highest number of such epitopes as compared to spike proteins most commonly used. Further, CTL and HTL epitope distribution across SARS-CoV-2 proteome indicated that the number of epitopes is not correlated with the size of the protein. The smallest predicted protein, ORF10, which is just 38 amino acids in length, was found to provide more CTL epitopes in the context of this study than the larger spike protein, which is about 1273 amino acids in length. Some previous studies have been found to be the case, where capsidomatrix proteins in viruses were found to pack significantly more epitopes than those expected by their size, published in 2012. This is the bar diagram. We can see that spike protein CTL epitopes are less in number as compared to CTL epitopes of ORF10, which are higher in number. Epitope distribution is random across all the different proteins. And this bar diagram is for ORF1AB, and the same is the case as for previous bar diagram. So one diagram of all the cytotoxic and helper T cell epitopes taken together showed no common epitopes at all across proteins. This means that multiple T cell epitopes may elicit an immune response in each case, some eliciting strong and some providing weaker responses. Stronger response means that normal uninfected cells can be attacked, while weaker responses means that some protein targets may cause weak neutralizing antibody responses, as well as weak CTL response at varying times during infection, leading to the surmise that there may be a high degree of T cell immunopathology at the infection site, which has also been published in other papers apart from this paper. The involvement of T cells in the development of cytokine storm cannot be ruled out. Preliminary findings shown that antigen specific production of IL-6 and TNF alpha, IL-6 and TNF alpha responses in a 10 patient cell culture supernatant, and this study is proposed to be carried further in a larger cohort. Published in 2020 in Science. Antibody mediated enhancement of immune response is also not ruled out. And this can be seen from the fact that all the epitopes present in the list of dominant B cell epitope, table 4 in Grifoni et al., belonging to surface membrane and nucleocapsid protein are unique. And therefore, there may be a higher non-neutralizing antibody level in COVID-19 patients, like in the case of dengue viruses. So clustering of all CTL and HTL epitopes resulted in these three longer sequences of epitopes, with the first sequence comprising of 23 non-numeric epitope members and second and third sequences comprising of 20 members each. These clusters across proteins and alleles may be considered immunodominant epitope, and we can test these first among the ranked list of alleles generated. Also, care should be taken that we need to choose helper T cell epitope so as to elicit an immune response robust enough to prime and maintain neutralizing antibody responses while keeping the immunopathology under check. We now require experimental MHC peptide binding and T cell stimulation ELISpot assay for in vitro testing for further refinement, for which we seek active collaboration. This is our laboratory, and there are multiple avenues being studied in our research area. The one of which is immunotherapy in cancer and SARS-CoV-2 infection to design epitopes. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, you may please reach out at this email ID, seema_george@yahoo.com. Thank you.